And here we are, back again. Welcome to this edition of Motivation and Money with me, Mark Terrell, and my co-host Fanny Snaith. How are you today, Fanny?
Excellent as ever. Thank you very
Good.
much. Really good.
Good.
It's good to see you back from your holiday.
Well, yeah, that's right. So the reason why we're going to be talking about culture is I've been on a bit of a trip. Went to Japan for a couple of weeks, and it just got me thinking about different cultures around the world. And I wanted to talk to Fanny about what she thought about the culture around money. We've had a quick chat before we went live, and just to think about the influences we have and how we those things then um, transmit into the things that we do and the actions we take with regards to motivations and stuff. So that was my reason for it. I came up with it, and so here we are. We're going to talk a bit about culture. So, Fanny, you were talking about one of your money gurus, being he's a Japanese guy. Do you want
Yeah.
to just talk about him?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a little
Cool.
bit smarting at the guru bit, but yeah, he's okay. He's a
Okay.
very nice man. He's a chap
Okay.
called Ken Honda, and
Okay.
I came across him, God, ages ago. I can't remember why I came across him, but I was some probably Google search. But he's written the book I like of his best. In fact, it's actually the only one I've read, to be honest. Is called Happy Money: The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money.
Hmm. Is it
So
Honda with A, like the motorbike?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
yeah, Ken Honda.
Okay.
And he's like a, I don't know, he's sort of, I suppose he is a bit of a personal development person in Japan. He's written loads of books. He's really, I mean, he's massive in Japan. He's pretty big in America. He's not heard so much here, but he's sort of getting there. But
Hmm.
he's got some really good ethics. And he always starts off, um, it's all about how how friendly are you with your finances? This is the thing, right? And I think, and for me, this everything just gets more and more clear every day the more I do this work. So, for instance, if you look in your purse or your wallet, it's believed that, and I believe it as well, that actually what it looks like inside your purse and wallet is a bit of a reflection on who you are,
Okay.
on other parts about, you've heard the phrase, how you do something is how you do everything, right?
Right.
So So this is how you do something. How you do your money starts with the wallet, purse, whatever it is you carry around. So let me tell you how this tells me about me.
Mm-hmm.
So this tells me about me. So this wallet, first of all, this black wallet was given to me by a lady called Glad. And she was an old lady that lived up the road from me. And she must have died 12 years ago.
Hmm.
And she gave me this as a second-hand wallet then, right? Because she had it. Now, for me, it's the perfect wallet. And it's surprising because it's just the right size for me. It's got all the right pockets. And it does exactly what it's supposed to do on the tin, right? It's not particularly attractive. It's very functional. The fact that it's not ripped and torn is surprising, because if it was, I would probably still have it, because that's how I tend to be. I tend to keep things a little bit too long. So that's that. So it's not new, it's not flash, it's not rigged, it's not lit, it hasn't got status around it or anything like that. It's actually made by a company called Hotter, who I believe also make shoes for the older lady
Okay.
and the older gentleman. Right.
Right.
So that's that. So first of all, when you open it up, and I didn't prepare this before, by the way, because I had
No,
no idea I was
no,
going
I
to talk
didn't
about
know
this.
anything about this. Ah, yes, right, yeah.
That's what it looks like. So it's pretty orderly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, on my credit card, I've got a ticket in here. This says a lot about me. Um, so this is a ticket from a charity shop where I took something back and got a refund from the Link. It's a Link credit notes. So from the Link charity that does cancer stuff, and it expires on the 8th of January 2023. So with left on it, a balance on it of £7.15. So essentially, I have now just thrown away £7.15. So that shows that I am a little bit careless I can be careless when it comes to money. I haven't made sure that I've gone and spent it, but there may be a little thing in the back of my head going, it's a charity shop.
It's a charity, yeah.
So I'm going to rip that up and put that in the bin. I could go down there and go, oh, will you please honour it? I'm not going to do that. That's in the bin. So that's good. That makes me feel good. And then in the side pockets here, these pockets, it's not messy. It's pretty tidy. It's recently been cleared out. It's got some fuel receipts, which are due to go into my accounts. But pretty much, and if I look in the notes section, it's quite tidy. Not perfectly tidy. So therefore, it's good, but it's not exactly as I want it. It slightly carries the whiff of disappointment in the fact that it could be better, which if I look through one of the things that I've had therapy for and all sorts of things, is I have this role that I was supposed to be in from my mother where I'm a disappointment, right? Where there's always going to be something about what I do that's going to be disappointing. This is something I'm working on massively right now, but it's just so interesting that I pick up the thing and that's what it says to me. So just interestingly, when you pick up your wallet or your purse, what does it say about you?
Well, it got me thinking now. My wallet's fairly similar to that. I've got a fairly orderly wallet. I've got some coupons there. I probably haven't used from Sainsbury's which have run out and date, so they can go in the bin. I've got a few stamps, but other than that, I've got my credit cards and I've got some cash, similar like what you've got, really. So it's functional.
Is that normally what it looks like?
I'm particularly proud of it.
Is that normally what it looks like?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I used to have one that was really stuffed, and I used to keep all sorts of receipts in there, and it used to be like I couldn't hardly fold it over, going back a while. But like one day I decided to sort it out. And I suppose that's a bit like I let things get a little bit untidy, then I think, right, it's about time. So this room, I do this...
there you go.
So it's in need of a tidy up, but we've had a bit of a disruption with some development with the kitchen and stuff. At the moment, we're still trying to finish that off. As soon as that's done, I'm going to have a good old tidy up here. So those sort of things come and go, don't they? And you do things when it sort of fits. I'm not a particularly tidy person day by day, but every now and again I have a bit of a tidy up.
Well, and so that's reflected in your wallet.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a reflection, right? That's the thing. And I mean, if you make it a little survey and go, let's have a look at your wallet. You'll notice interesting things.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for instance, So anyway, it's an interesting thing. So it's about again. You were talking about did you say you've been to Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've just been to Japan, and you were telling me before about how proud people tend to be about what they did and how they did things.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to look at their wallets. I should imagine,
that would be.
And this is how one of the things that Ken has in his book, where an old lady says, let's have a look at your wallet. Have you got all the notes with the head, the monarch's head or whatever it is round the right way? What level of how proud are you of this part of your life?
Right. So that's, I suppose that's linked to your sort of attitude towards money, I suppose, because it's your link to money. It would hold the amount, the cash that you hold is in your wallet, I guess. So there is that's interesting, actually. Interesting. I didn't think we were going to be talking about wallets and.
No, I didn't either.
Let's just go back to why I thought it would be interesting to talk about culture. In that, yes, I've been to Japan. And yes, my reflections were that everyone we seemed to come across were very proud about what they did. I was fascinated by... one of the things that's fascinated is that the restaurants outside, they have mock-ups of all the dishes that they serve. And so they're like I think it must be making out of plastic or something. And so you think, oh, that looks nice. And then you can order it inside the real thing. And you don't see that in the UK. That was a revelation, but it made it a lot easier because my other half, she's got this thing about not going to restaurants if they've got photographs of their food outside. It's almost like
And I mean, and seriously, right? And talking
yeah.
about sun bleached photographs as well.
That's right. But it wasn't the same with these sort of mock-ups that are
No, no, no.
three-dimensional things that you see
Yeah,
in so many of the restaurants. And there must be obviously must be places where they make these things. You say,
yeah,
send a photograph. This is our dish. Can you make me a sort of mock-up so I can put it in my window?
yeah.
So
When I
that
went
was
to
very
Japan in
interesting.
when I was in Japan in 1990, they were just starting to do those, but not all the restaurants had them,
Hmm.
and they tended to do them with just the sushi and all that kind of stuff that they had, rather than the other things. And I was there on my own for part of the time, and I remember walking. And in the end, I just got brave enough. I just thought, because I've got to try and order something off this menu, and it was in Japanese. I was like, I've got no idea. So I got into the habit of walking around and seeing something that took my fancy that somebody else was eating and go, I'll have that. Right. And I did it. I did it about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
But every time I did that, guess what I got? I got a salad.
Okay.
It's like they decided what they were going to. Instead, one time I got one, it looked like this sort of, like, it looked like some lamb. And I ordered it, and I thought, oh, that's going to be so nice. And that actually did turn up being the right meal. And it was a shark's fin.
Okay. We never know quite what you're eating over there. But as we're on the topic of food, one of the things they do well is bento boxes when you're on
Yeah, yeah, oh
travels.
yeah.
So if you're going on a long trip, and we did a number of trips on the Shinkansen, the bullet train, and before you get on the train, get a bento box, and it's like a selection of all their sort of food and this sort of bit of
So
rice and a
clever,
bit
isn't
of
it?
fried stuff and all that sort of stuff. So they just sort of know what people want. That's the thing, with our transport system. It's like, oh God, you don't know what you're going to get in each station. Some might be good, some might be not so good, but you just can't predict it. Whereas everywhere we went, there was always the option to buy a decent bento box to take on the train.
So that's a really, really, really good lead into culture in business, because you just said they always seem to know what we want.
Yeah.
Right? That's a fantastic phrase. So the question that has to follow that is how.
I think that's the link to the culture piece, and they're almost like privileged. They feel as it's a privilege to serve you. That's what the impression we got.
So how does that then manifest itself? How do they find that pride, or how do they display that pride? So, for instance, what jumps to my mind is they've taken the time in a cool, calm, collected fashion to sit down and ask the questions that need to be asked in order to how to serve their customers best.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And you said here in England, there's all this stuff, but nobody seems to really know what we want, right? And it's funny. I've been talking to some people this morning who, and I didn't actually put these two things together, who run their businesses, and they've both got very different businesses. And I had to say to both of them, just stop for a minute, because what it came at was they were trying to run a business for them. And I have to say, I have been guilty of this in the past. Yeah. When I started, I was guilty of this. And they wanted to run the business for them. So what they're doing is they're madly swimming upstream like a frantic salmon, trying to build a business that's going to give them enough money to do what they want to do. And it's like, that's the focus. It's just keep going, work harder, try harder, do more, just do more. What can we do next? Do another course, do another this, do another part of something, part of the business, let's get another stuff. And it's literally like this. Whereas actually what we need to do is we need to stop, and we need to go, what do I want to achieve here? And if we were to be more like, and this is what I said to the two people this morning, I said, if we were to stop being salmon and actually start being otter, which means instead of swimming upstream frantically like this, we turned onto our backs and just went the way of the water, we will then be able to see what we are passing and what we're going on, and see in a logical way what we need to do. Which, when you are then going to, I can see in your head already what you're doing is you're framing this up with your motivation, your motivators, and I am matching it up with my money types. So we're talking about coming out of frantic, innocent victim, fool, martyr, whatever, and
Mm.
bringing out the warrior and the magician.
Yeah, and I'm from my perspective with the motivation is linking it to the having a certain amount of predictability and stability. That's what they seem to build into everything. You can predict things. You can be, the Shinkansen. If it's 10 minutes or 10 seconds late, they have to report it.
Yeah,
Literally, it's a big deal.
yeah.
And unfortunately, one of our transfers from Kyoto to Hiroshima, they said there'd been a track invasion. Now, obviously, I think that's unfortunately what's happened is someone has decided to use the
Oh,
trains as some way to end their life, and so everything had stopped but the information we were getting was very clear. We will, at the moment we're expecting a 50-minute delay, blah 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 blah. And you just got all the information, and if you want any more information, go to the website, sort of thing, and it's like clear, this is what you need to know, and this is, if you want some more information, it's there. And it's very sort of organized. Everyone was sort of calm, and no one was really getting irate and cross
no,
about anything, because
no.
they know that that's what people want.
Yeah.
So ironically, I took a trip the day after we got back. I took a trip because I had to go to the dentist, and I took the train. Now I take the trip because it's easy, and and on the way back, I looked at my phone, and my ticket was on my phone, and I had 5% left on it. I thought, if I can't show my ticket, I don't know what's going to happen. Firstly, I won't be able to pay for anything because I haven't got anything other payment for me, and also I won't be able to show my ticket. So I get to the platform at Temple Meads for the last leg, which is a sort of like a little short trip in Bristol. And I went up to this guy who clearly was the guy that was going to see the train off and check it in and wave his thing and say, yeah, okay, to go, sort of thing. And I said, excuse me, I said, I'm just going to get on this train, but I'm a bit worried about my phone has got my ticket on it. And it might, so can I just show you my ticket? So when they get it, that you've seen the ticket and it's, and he said, literally didn't even look at it and said, you have to speak to the guard when the train gets here. And that was it. No. Now, I know if I'd have done that in Japan, they would have said, oh, yeah, I understand. I will do what I can to help you. Here, it was like, not my job, mate. You got the guard, and it literally, he couldn't give a monkeys.
No.
You could see I was getting a bit stressed about it. But
Yeah.
no, all he had to do was, yeah, got the point, mate. Yeah, I'll do what I can. But no, couldn't be bothered.
And then I bet you, well, it's possibly very likely, I shouldn't bet you really, but I guess it's probably very likely that when this guy has something like that happen to him, he'll be moaning about it just like,
Yeah,
like
well, that's right. And you've got to, like you've
it,
just described. You've got to, if you're going to set up a business, it should be set up to solve a problem. Yeah, and you've got to do your best to solve that problem the best way you can possibly can, and go over and above. Deliver more than you've actually promised. That's
yeah,
one of the things we learn, don't we? That over deliver. Because if you overpromise and underdeliver, then you're going to get a reputation for that. So don't over egg what you're going to do, but put in extra stuff that you've never sort of committed to, and that's a big lesson. I think with regards to going back to the Japanese experience, was everyone seemed to go that little bit extra to tell you all that you needed to know,
yeah.
and make sure you were really happy, and and all those things. It just made you feel good about the place.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I remember even in 1990 when I was there on the underground system in Tokyo, I think the station that I was at had 26 different exits at that particular point. It was all different
Mm.
lines, and you had to buy a different ticket for different lines and all that kind of stuff. It was all, but they would always have the timetables of when the train was coming, but it was to the second. It wasn't to the
Yeah,
minute,
that's right.
and it came.
Yeah.
But look, let's think about this more generally, so this can help people who are listening to this. When you're devising a business, of course it needs to make a profit, right? Because I know that there are plenty of people who come to their business and they go, oh, well, I'll just start this, but they don't actually think about, they just who over want to serve, but then so they're in martyr. I just want to provide this. I've been talking to some dog groomers recently, and let's say, for instance, oh, I just want to do the dog grooming, etc., and not really thinking enough about, well, how's that going to work? How many dogs do you need to do a day, a week, a month for you to be able to have a life? How many are you actually going to be able to fit them in? What kind of dogs? How are you going to price it? What are you going to have premises fees and all that kind of stuff? And they sort of go, oh, well, I've just got a pad and paper where I'm just putting things down on my expenses. And I'm thinking, So there's that way of thinking things.
Yeah.
So bring that into balance in the fact that it's okay to have a business that makes money, because eventually if you have a business that doesn't make money, you're going to start getting resentful, and that's going to breed a nasty culture within your business as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and that is a classic coach's trap people fall into. They want to make a difference, and aren't really motivated by making money, so they don't pay enough attention to it, and so eventually they get disillusioned, because although they might not be in it to make money, but if you don't make enough money, then it becomes a demotivating factor and becomes a distraction from the thing you really want to do. So you need to think about, well, okay, this is what I want to do, and that's really motivates me. I want to make a difference. I want to be creative, and I want to create a community around what I do. But I've got to think about, well, how am I going to make that work financially? What's the model like with regards to revenue?
I find it difficult to understand any coach who doesn't think that money is important. I do generally, because if you're coaching somebody in well-being or I'm not talking about sports coach, okay? If you're coaching anybody in well-being, business, what other kind of coaches are there?
Well, it's not that they don't see it's important. It's way down on their list on priorities. That's the thing. They know it's important because they obviously can't run a business without it. But because it's low down on their priority list, they don't seem to pay enough attention to it. So it's really bringing up the focus on spending more time. Think about the model that how you're going to be paid.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a subscription, or you one-off services and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, so being in martyr and then getting resentful, that's a typical martyr trait, because you sort of you over deliver, you give all this, I've given you all this, I've given you all that, I've given all that, and then I don't really get anything back, and then, oh my god, now you've cancelled your subscription. So you start to get that resentment, and once you start getting that energy of resentment running through your business, it's really it spreads like wildfire. It can spread really, really easily. So that's a one to avoid. And then on the flip side of that, if you are simply going to create a business that's in pursuit of profit only, then I don't know, it's probably not going to last if it's just out there to make money and you don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that go and buy, I don't know, they go and buy some tat somewhere and mark it up and sell it on. And once people realise that it's not very good, they don't buy it again. And so then they'll just go and buy something else. Personally, that wouldn't satisfy me as a human being, to just constantly sell people stuff that doesn't really do the thing that it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Then I think the next thing is that you've got your motivation and attitude towards money is important when it comes to risk taking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that can have a thing that's, a culture in the business, in the fact that if you are really risk adverse, then you might end up being stuck, which again will throttle the business.
Yeah.
Won't it?
Yeah.
And again, I guess for coaches, and I'm probably in this bracket now, that it's actually trying to open your eyes to seeing, now that I have to start building a team. I always said I didn't want to do that, but actually now I see very clearly that I want to be doing things that will mean me needing to get somebody. So I now have 2 people in my team who help me to do the things that I don't want to do anymore. But I didn't actually see that at the beginning. I just thought, oh yeah, I'll just do some coaching. It'll earn me good money, but it's so easy because there's no overheads. You don't have to do anything. And then, yeah, right. And then once you've got your active campaign and your website and your this and your that, or your whatever else, you're sort of going, just managing it all is just a bit crazy. # first world problems, right? Because the more you've got to manage, then, it's good. So there's that. Yeah. What else did I write on my notes here? Transparency. I don't know quite why I wrote that. Some businesses may be more secretive about their financial dealings, while others might be more open and transparent. This can impact how
Okay, yeah.
investors, customers.
Yeah, do you know that's interesting? I was thinking about that actually, and I just I don't know if you saw that Richard Branson was interviewed by on the BBC last week, and it's
I haven't seen
interesting.
that yet.
Yeah, it's so he talks about, he's not particularly money savvy, but because he talks
No,
about, he didn't even know what the difference between gross and net was for a long time, and he had to have it described in a
yeah,
sort of almost like a, well, they talked about
the
a
fish
net
in the
and a
sea.
sea and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff, which is interesting. But there's something about Branson in that he has that philosophy about, having solve a problem, do it better than anybody else. But he had some big decisions to make during the pandemic, where the money was running out quickly, and then he was asked about the question where he was going cap in hand to the government for money handouts, and he said, well, we were never actually asked for money. We were asking for some underwriting so that going forward the business was viable going forward. We were thinking long term, that we saw very well if we raise the money, but if the business can't maintain and pay the debt, then it's no point, because it'll eventually not, it will fold because the debts are too high. So he
yeah.
just said underwriting that for us, and a lot of people don't understand how that works, but it was really interesting when he explained it like that, in that we were
I'll
just
watch
trying
that.
to save things and so make it viable going forward.
Yeah,
Anyway, and I
but
think
yeah,
we talk about
yeah,
culture in general. I think we talk about the culture that a brand has. You have to have a brand culture to make things so people buy into it,
well,
and that's
exactly.
the art of marketing, is to have that sort of the story that people buy into, as opposed to just the sort of the product or the service that they're
Twitter.
buying. Mm.
Twitter. I mean, the interview that the guy from BBC had with Elon Musk
Mm.
recently, which
Yes,
was
yes,
on there, and and again, it was like, so you've made a lot of people, you gave a lot of people their marching orders, how did you deal with that? And he goes, yeah, it was really, really hard. So did you talk, how many did you have? How many did you get rid of? And he said, well, we had 7,800 and we've now got 1,500. And he went, oh my goodness, how did you deal with that emotionally? He goes, well, I just told you it was hard. He said, did you speak to them all? And he went, no, not that many people. I actually don't have the ability to talk to that to talk to that many people. And he's going, oh my gosh, isn't that awful? And you can see the BBC guy going, okay, so you bought this company for $44 billion. It seems that you didn't really want to buy it. You came in, stripped the workforce back to 1,500. Why didn't you just, his question was, and he actually did ask him in the end, is why didn't you bail it out? And Elon just said, looking at the figures, money coming in, money going out, the business had 120 days to survive. What would you do? And he goes, well, why didn't you bail it out with your own money? You're a very rich man. And he goes, I sold a lot of Tesla shares to buy this company, and it really hurt. And it's
mm.
like, I love that, because it was like, it was showing that he had a personality and he had feelings too.
Yeah. They're
And
fascinating, those conversations. Yeah,
they are. And it's
yeah.
like, it's doing that way up between, look, this is business, but this is me. And that
Mm.
each one has got its boundaries.
Yeah, but I think it also brings home that business is a combination of logic and emotion, and you can't let one
Absolutely.
overtake. I mean, it's a balance. You've got to balance the emotion with the logic, and you can't run a
Yeah.
business with one without the other. I think it's
No. And
it's getting the balance right.
And isn't it interesting as well how you see so many businesses out there who, they do this thing, oh, we're the most amazing, fantastic business. We've got all this, we're like, you see them going on Dragon's Den, and they go, our business is worth 8 million
Yes.
quid or whatever. They look at it and they go, and you came to that figure because how did you reach that figure? And
Mm.
actually, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's again, there's lack of transparency in, and that must run through the culture of the culture of the business. I remember very much once I was hired to run a tape duplication facility in the West End back in the day when we used digital tapes for broadcast, etc. It was called 8811, And it was an interesting place. It was a 24-hour tape duplication facility, which was, quite a big operation. And when I went in as operations director, I said that I wasn't going to make too many changes for the first bit. I didn't want to go in and ruffle feathers because they'd had a number of sort of like management changes, and the staff felt very insecure, etc. But what I did notice was that the machine room needed some serious maintenance, and it needed it now. We were charging couriers out to the customer at less than we were being charged for them, because nobody had updated the rate card between the link between the people that were booking the couriers and the invoicing department. There'd been the accounts department, no linking. When I went to discuss it with my director, he was going, no, we're not going to do that. What we need to do is make the front of the shop look nice, so that so it looks, a nice reception, a nice this. And I'm going, no. When was the last time our clients came here? He went, exactly. I said, our clients aren't interested in coming here. They want to bike a tape over. We duplicate it and we send it out. First and foremost, the most important thing in our business is having the service right.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it. So I walked out. I walked.
You what?
I walked.
Right.
I did. Well, I mean, it was lucky I was 7 months pregnant with Connie at the time, so I didn't really mind. But I just thought, I can't do this. This is not.
Yeah.
I've got people working in this machine room who have got 3 machines out, and there's tapes stacking up, and they will not pay the money to get the Sony man in to fix these particular machines.
And next minute they're finding money to refurb something that's hardly ever used.
Nobody gives a damn about.
Yeah,
it's not.
exactly.
It's not the point, So that's that. So that was transparency and smoke and mirrors. What about customer service? Attitudes towards money really impacts customer service.
Yeah,
because how you do something is how you do everything, right?
Yeah.
Again,
that's the motivation to make a difference is so important these days that I can't remember the last time I saw a motivational map which didn't have the searcher, which is all about making a difference, do something purposeful, in the top 3, and that's the thing.
Well, that's good.
It's because most people, vast majority of people, want to come to work to do something that they feel is worthwhile, and they are appreciated for it.
Yeah.
And so appreciation, and going back to my Japanese, you were appreciated as a customer. I just felt that wherever we went, we'd appreciate as a customer. And again, some of the places that, not naming anybody in particular, but sometimes you just feel as if you're just a nuisance. And nobody wants to feel as if they're a nuisance, do they?
I had a problem with my credit card bill this weekend. God, that's 2 more minutes, right? I had a problem with my credit card bill. So I'm going to give a shout out to Santander. I paid my credit card off on the 14th of April. It wasn't due till the 28th. I didn't notice that the money got pinged back. And I then got sent an email the day after the money was due, of course, saying that I was going to get a late fee and interest charge to the tune of about £20, £19 something. So I don't like that. I'm a money coach, right? That doesn't happen to me. So I phoned them up and I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I can see on here it says sent back by the receiving bank. And I don't know why. It's the same thing that I used last month. And I know I didn't check it. That's my fault, I guess. But it was a small amount of money. I assumed that it was going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And she said, she basically was pretty, not narky, but she was like, really, I can only do what it says on the screen. And she said, well, if you want to claim the money back, you'll need to send us evidence. I'll send you a form. And I was like, because normally they just go, yes, I can see that you pay your card off in full every month as a gesture of goodwill, etc. Got a phone call from Santander the very first working day after this happened, saying, I see this is what's happened on your thing. Yes, I can see your record. We offer, the last time you had a gesture of goodwill was back in 2015. I'd like to offer that to you again and give you a full refund for what it is. However, there is another way that we can do this, is I could just credit you in your bank account, because I see you've got a bank account next to your, in this with us too. I can credit your bank account so that you can keep your gesture of goodwill should this ever happen again. What would you like to do? And I went, yeah, all right, I'll have the money put into my bank account and then keep the credit card the same, as long as I'm not charged any more interest. She said, no. She said, well, it comes to £19.07. I'll put £20 in your bank account, shall I? I said, yeah, thanks very much.
Well done, Santander. Got there in the end. Yeah.
Well done, Santander. So there you go. There were some other things I was going to talk about. We could have talked about customer service till the cows came home. I've also got corporate social responsibility. Motivations and attitudes towards money can also influence businesses' approach to their corporate social responsibility. If they're not bothered, it might be different, or if they prioritize profits over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hiring practices,
Yeah. Yeah.
hiring on the cheap, hiring certain types of people. So it's a big
Yeah,
topic,
it is a
Mr.
big
Carroll.
topic. I knew it would be, and I knew there'd be lots to talk about. And we've gone way over our normal time, so we normally sort of
Five
keep them to
minutes.
30 minutes. But hey, another 5 minutes, cheeky us. Anyway, thank you, Fanny. Really enjoyed our chat about culture. So if you catch this at
Culture.
all in your feeds wherever, then please add your comments. Unfortunately, we can't see anything live coming through at the moment with the tech. At the moment, it's not quite working for us with regards to any comments, but feel free to leave any comments. We'll catch up with them, and you'll find out how you can catch up with myself and Fanny on our websites at the end when it comes up, and reach out and talk to myself if motivation is a bit lacking in yourself and your team or in your organisation, and Fanny is the girl, I was going to say, the lady that is to, whenever you want to talk about money, not in an advice sort of thing. He's not
No,
going to give
no,
you
no.
advice on what you're going to do with your money. She's going to show you how you can have a better relationship with your money, which is obviously what it's all about. Relationships in life, and you've had good relationships with everything, then more harmony, and we're just happier, aren't we? So there we are. There's a summing up. Thank you, Fanny. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Looking
it's been a
forward to the
pleasure. It's
next
lovely to
time.
see you again. And
And
yeah,
we will catch you again on the next edition very soon, hopefully. Take care.